Now there's a lot to cover in this video, and since Atrioc isn't as mainstream as other creators that have been canceled recently like Gus Johnson or Minilad a couple years back or James Charles for probably the 1000th time, I think it behooves everyone if I start basically at the beginning of Atrioc's content creation career and then go all the way through his start, his rise, his time on top and being popular, and then his subsequent downfall from the incident, as we shall refer to it as. And in order to cover all of that as well as his subsequent comeback, I have created this timeline here, and that way you'll be able to see where you are in each section, and that way if you know something already, then you're able to just skip that part. Additionally, there's also chapters, and feel free to jump around in the video. Now, I promise I'll cover his early bio, but because I hate writing bios for creators, I actually asked an AI to write the Atrioc bio for me, but then it went and told me things like he was born on September 7th, 1992, which is not true. It says he grew up in California, which is not true. It says he was one of the top-ranked Smash Bros. Players, which is only kind of true. It says he attended the University of California, Berkeley, which is not true. And that he studied computer science, which is also not true. And it says he's one of the most popular Twitch streamers, which is, once again, just simply not true. And when I asked AI for a source as to where it got all this supposed information about Atrioc, it told me it didn't have direct access to sources or the internet and generated it based on, quote, publicly available information, which is literally just AI doing the meme where it says, my source is I made it the fuck up. So I quickly gave up on that plan, and everything you're going to hear from here on out was written entirely by me. No AI input. Atrioc graduated from the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University in 2013 with a degree in marketing. And over the next few years, he bounced around to a couple of different jobs, basically all of them having to do with esports in some capacity. Finally, in 2014, he landed a job with Twitch in their content marketing department, and he did that for the next 4 years. Now, this is significant because Atrioc has clearly always been interested in content creation and all the jobs that surround it. All of the jobs that are publicly available on his LinkedIn up until this point have something to do with esports or gaming in some way. However, he left his job at Twitch in 2017 when he switched over to working at Nvidia, where he did global consumer marketing. And once again, he stayed kind of within the gaming niche, as Nvidia makes a lot of graphics cards and computer parts. And it's while working for Nvidia that his content creation career would really take off. Now, the earliest information I could find out about Atrioc's streaming career dates back to July of 2020, with him having about 173 active subscribers on Twitch. And because 173 isn't very many, I imagine that his streaming career had not been going on for very long at that point. But it is possible that there was previous activity given his pretty consistent love for esports. But in any instance, as every streamer does, he started out quite small, and unlike many streamers, he actually managed to grow pretty quickly, both on his Twitch channel and also on his YouTube channel. And again, I can only see so far back, but in May of 2020, he had less than 1,000 subscribers on his YouTube, and this makes me think early to mid 2020 was when his content creation career really started. It is worth pointing out, however, that his growth is not entirely his own, as he and fellow much smaller streamer Nathan Stans were pretty lucky in that Ludwig, one of their good friends, became one of the most popular streamers of all time. Because Atrioc and Ludwig had known each other for years, when Ludwig blew up, he kind of brought Atrioc up with him. Atrioc, however, managed to distinguish himself from the kind of gaming-only focus that a lot of Twitch streamers find themselves stuck in, and kind of positioned himself as the marketing guy of Twitch. He had several marketing-related segments that he would do weekly, with the most popular being Marketing Monday, in which he would talk about some wins and some fails from marketing companies of the previous week. This wasn't his only popular series, however. For quite some time, he had been known as the Hitman guy, and had quite a few YouTube videos blow up off of that. He did Hitman speedruns, special challenges, and giveaways. So by all accounts, Atrioc was a very successful and also very fast-growing content creator. He consistently averaged 4,000 to 8,000 views on his Twitch streams, which is quite good, and between 200,000 and 500,000 views per YouTube video, which is also very respectable. And within the general Twitch space, he was quite well known. And that's why it makes it even more tragic that at the peak of his streaming and content creation career, it all came crashing down because of one split-second unfortunate alt-tab while live on Twitch. streaming is pretty unforgiving in that if you mess something up on stream, there is almost no way to take it back. If I mess up something horribly while filming this video, then while I'm editing, I can just take it out. Literally anything could happen between takes on this shoot, and you, the viewer, would have no idea, because I'll just cut it. However, when you're streaming, everything is live, and you don't get the luxury of editing, and that's why you get instances such as PewDiePie's famous bridge incident, where he said the N-word, Ninja's infamous rap moment, where he said the N-word, Alinity's infamous stream, where she said the N-word. Why does this happen so much? Atrioc's unfortunate moment happened when he tried to alt-tab to a different screen, and lo and behold, there was deepfake content. And that split-second alt-tab was clipped, shared on livestream fails on Reddit, and went absolutely viral. Now, I mentioned this incident in my Are Celebrities Ever Sorry video, but basically, after this went down and the clip was taken and shared all over, the entire wrath of the internet came down on Atrioc. And there were two main schools of thought for people that were upset by this. The first group of people were mad that he leaked this because it brought a lot of attention to the fact that these fakes exist. And that directly led to their popularity exploding. So a lot of female content creators and Twitch streamers would just know that thousands of men were looking at this very mature and intimate content of them that they had not consented to. This first group of people saw what Atrioc did as a problem, but even more significant than that, they believe was the fact that he was the vessel through which this exploded into more mainstream popularity, and that's the main issue. What he did was bad, they believe, but what he started was much, much worse. However, there is a second group of people who are basically the opposite, saying what he did was absolutely horrible, but then the fact that it blew up afterwards and became so hugely popular wasn't necessarily his fault, but rather the fault of all the people that were talking about it and sharing it across social medias. The general belief for this group is that the fact that he did it is the worst thing, and then the fact that it blew up afterwards is really kind of out of his control. And this is kind of hard to give an opinion on as a guy who's never been exploited in this kind of way. And when I first heard this news, I actually had a reaction pretty similar to Pyrocynical's.
Twitch streamer Atrioc issued an apology after accidentally revealing that he watched deep fake videos of streamer Pokimane and Maya. I mean, who cares about deep fakes? But yeah, if it's like deep fakes of people that like you're friends with, I guess it's a little bit weird. I just think it's absolutely hilarious that he's doing it for like his friend, looking up deep fakes of his friend.
I primarily saw this as guy gets caught being horny on main, roasted by the internet drama, and then I just kind of moved on. But then take after take started coming out from females who were directly impacted by this, and I realized I don't think I could have been more wrong about my initial take on the entire situation. And I think Will Neff sums it up really well on the Fear and podcast when he said this.
I think the other thing, and this kind of goes without saying, but we do have a younger audience. If you are a young man, if you have questions about this shit, listen to women and see the real impact that it has on real people, and try and remove yourself from the parasocial element of it, and listen to these people and listen to them tell you that it's harmful.
Now, Ludwig also made a very good video on this situation, highlighting the voices of the females that were affected. But basically, the conclusion that I've come to is just because I didn't think that it would affect people in the way that it did, it still did. And I need to acknowledge that I really just can't understand that. But I can agree and support the people that are affected because it clearly had a major negative impact on them. However, even though I don't believe what Atrioc did was okay and do believe that it was worth criticizing, I still maintain that the level of backlash he got was disproportionate to the crime. He became kind of a scapegoat representation of all the things that are wrong with this form of AI technology, and everything that's wrong with the legislation as it fails to keep up with and protect the people that are being exploited by these changes in technology. After all that went down, Atrioc actually went radio silent for a while, and then he did one of the worst things you can do when you plan to apologize. He went live and made an emotional apology. Now, the internet is no stranger to crying apologies, but also rarely do they ever work, because by and large, people are not sympathetic towards crying figures online, and people were not sympathetic towards this apology either. A lot of people pointed out the irony that Atrioc, the marketing guy, failed to market his apology in a way that people would think was real or legitimate, and it was so poorly thought out and poorly executed. By and large, it has been touted as another great failure of a YouTuber apology. After this apology, Atrioc once again went very radio silent for a long time. Until he came back and he made a much better, more scripted out apology, and also, much more importantly, gave actionable steps to what he was going to do to make the situation better. In what I assume will be considered a landmark apology as far as the content creation world is concerned, Atrioc came back and gave actionable steps about what he was going to do immediately, in the short term, and in the long term. Now, it's probably hard for me to be objective considering the biases that I hold, but I believe this can be considered one of the best apologies that I have ever seen. For the immediate term, he wired a law firm $60,000 and told them to use that money for legal services, and that any female Twitch streamers that wanted to get explicit content of them taken off the internet could use that money and file DMCA takedown notices. It was basically the equivalent of opening a tab at a bar and telling everybody that they can go ahead and drink on your tab, and you'll just be sent the bill later. After this, Atrioc starts networking and eventually stumbled across a reporter who was one of the foremost experts on this type of technology and specifically this type of deepfake usage of it. And through that connection, he manages to stumble across a company called Kerfuffle, which is an AI technology that automatically issues DMCA takedowns against this kind of content that is developed by AI technology. It's a very Thanos, I use the AI to destroy the AI type situation. And this is significant because with the $60,000 that he had wired the law firm, they managed to take down 426 pieces of content, which is obviously not feasible long term given how very expensive that is. But with the AI technology, for about $6,000, they were able to remove 21,000 pieces of this content. And in addition to that, they got an additional 13,000 websites delisted from Google, which while they aren't gone, basically, if you're delisted from Google, you may as well be done for. And then he started offering the service to female streamers that were affected on his own expense. And while he didn't disclose which streamers were doing it specifically, they gave a couple of names. At the moment, we know that Maya, Pokimane, Cutie Cinderella, and Amaranth have all tried, and from what we can tell, have all had very good results. However, this solution is only short term, because even though it's only $6,000 a month, this technology is still expensive and it's not viable to continue to be spending that much money long term. And Atrioc on his stream said that he had already spent around $100,000 total for all of this, and he really couldn't afford to do much more than that. And so then he talked about his long-term plan, which is to try and get legislation passed in America to go after these websites that are doing this. And he wants stuff set up similar to how it is in the European Union, where basically all types of deepfake pornographic material are illegal. This he plans to do by talking to local and state officials, and also he plans to do a lot of media interviews with large media companies. The idea is this will get the word out to more people who will then pressure their politicians into getting some kind of law passed. Now, this is obviously a much longer term play because legislation can take months or even years to pass, and there's also no guarantee that it will be passed at all. And that is kind of where we are today. See, Atrioc says that he's continuing to work with Kerfuffle, which of course I believe, and the idea is to try and get it into the hands of more female streamers, and he's working on this now and will continue to do so behind the scenes. I'm not always an optimist, but I will be honest, and I think this was probably the happiest outcome possible. There's the age-old saying, the actions speak louder than words. And honestly, Atrioc's actions are screaming right now. He put in months of work and 6 figures in money into a problem that he didn't directly cause. He's not only taking responsibility for what he did, but he's also decided to take on responsibility for the entire issue. And I think that demonstrates a level of maturity and willingness to make change that's very rare in content creators. Apologies are a dime a dozen. And I think I'm going to stick by my previous statement when I said that I don't know if he's sorry that he did it so much as he is sorry that he got caught doing that and received such a tremendous amount of backlash over it. But I also think that we all need to acknowledge that he's putting in a tremendous amount of time and money and effort into fixing a problem that is a real problem. He found an issue that he perpetuated but did not cause, found out that it was harmful to people that he cared about, and is now on a mission to fix it, not only for those people that he cares about, but also for anyone that is affected by it. And frankly, that's huge. Now, I realize this video comes across like I'm giving Atrioc the old glug glug 9000, but really what it comes down to is I'm having trouble finding a flaw in how he's choosing to approach this and to atone for the mistakes that he made. Really? It's very difficult to find, and I would honestly consider this whole redemption arc as close to perfect. Okay, well, maybe not completely perfect, but the way this entire situation has shaped up thanks to his actions and what he's done needs to be the blueprint for future content creators when they inevitably mess up and are held accountable both by their audience and by other people. So ultimately, I'm actually genuinely proud of Atrioc and the way he's chosen to come back and hold himself accountable. I'm looking forward to the good work that he's able to do to help people that have been victimized by this. Thanks for watching.